Good morning, dear friends. I think let me start the day's proceeding this this PCSI with our president, Dr. Snehal Kulkarni, inaugurating it.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 21st annual conference of Pediatric Cardiac Society of India. And I'm very happy to welcome all of you. The session, as we know, that before the conference, we have everyday pre-conference workshops on different interesting subjects. And today we will have the first workshop on pulmonary artery hypertension. I'll be happy to introduce my colleague, Dr. Prashant Bobate, who has really worked hard to get this symposium a big success. And I welcome our the first speaker, Dr. Hari Krishnan, Professor of Cardiology at Sri Chitra Medical Institute, Trivandrum, and Dr. Prashant Bobate, Senior Consultant Pediatric Cardiologist at Kokilaben Ambani Hospital. So welcome all of you and enjoy the symposium. Over to you, Prashant.
I think before that, I think I have a pleasant duty to thank and introduce Dr. Rajesh Sharma, who needs no introduction, who has been the brain behind this scientific program. Over to sir.
I would like to welcome all PCSI members to this much-awaited PCSI. And the program is an extensive one, following in the footsteps of Navratri, in the fashion of Navratri. It is going to last about 7 days, starting from today up to 24th. There are workshops in the beginning on specific topics. And then after that, this conference starts on the 21st evening and goes on to 24th. It's an extensive program, and Rama has really worked hard to put it together. And we hope that everybody enjoys it and participates wholeheartedly. Thank you very much, and wish you a very pleasant PCSI 2021.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank PCSI, Dr. Rama, and the entire organizing team to allow us to have a pre-conference workshop in pulmonary hypertension, which is going to last for almost half day, starting today. And today is the first day of PCSI, and we are happy that PCSI is kicking off this year with the PH symposium. Without much delay, I would like to invite the chairpersons for our first session. Dr. Snehal Kulkarni, who is the current PCSI president. She is also my mentor, and she is currently the head of department of Sri Sathya Sai Heart Institute in Navi Mumbai. Along with her, we have Dr. G.R. Kane, who is again a senior cardiologist. He is currently the head of department of cardiology at RH Reliance Hospital in Navi Mumbai, as well as D.Y. Patil Hospital in Navi Mumbai. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. And we also have Atul Prabhu with us, who is a senior pediatric cardiologist from Sathya Sai Institute, Raipur. I'm not sure if Nurul is joined in. Okay. Over to you, sir, ma'am, and Dr. Atul.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Prashant, for putting an excellent pulmonary artery hypertension symposium at the beginning of the Pediatric Cardiac Society annual national meeting. And as we'll discuss more and more details about the pulmonary hypertension. I think the epidemiology of pulmonary artery hypertension is a very interesting thing, and we learn a lot of lessons out of these registries. And we have two experts, Dr. Hari Krishnan, who has worked a lot on pulmonary hypertension, who is a professor of cardiology from Sri Chitra Institute of Medical Sciences, Trivandrum. And another one is my colleague, Dr. Prashant Bobate, whom I know for many years, and I know how hard and passionately he worked for the subject of pulmonary artery hypertension. So over to you, Dr. Hari Krishnan, talking about registry from pulmonary hypertension, what the Kerala lessons have taught us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Snehal. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I thank Dr. Prashant, Dr. Rama, and the PCSI team for inviting me to this wonderful workshop on pulmonary hypertension. So I am asked to talk about the epidemiology of pulmonary hypertension in India. So we know the data on pulmonary hypertension from India is scarce. So we rely mostly on Western data, which is mostly on idiopathic pulmonary hypertension. We know the burden is likely to be high in India because of conditions like COPD, untreated congenital heart disease, rheumatic heart disease, etc. And we have renewed interest because we have a lot of drugs which has come in the last 5 to 6 years to treat pulmonary hypertension. The global burden, if you take 80% of the global burden is in the developing world, but we have all the studies, everything is from the developed world, which has only 20% of the burden of pulmonary vascular disease. Before going to the epidemiology of pulmonary hypertension, I will just go through the updated clinical classification. Everybody knows it, but just to refresh. The group 1 is the pulmonary arterial hypertension. Group 2 is the pulmonary venous hypertension, which is due to left heart disease. Group 3 is related to respiratory disease or hypoxia. 4th is chronic thromboembolism, some related pulmonary hypertension, and 5th is miscellaneous. So the pulmonary hypertension group 1, if you subclassify, the first one is idiopathic PH, then there is heritable drug and toxin induced, and next the 1.4 is the one which we have significant interest, which is associated with connective tissue disease, portal hypertension, congenital heart disease, HIV, and schistosomiasis. So disease registries, as Dr. Snehal has put it, is an efficient way of collecting epidemiological data. It gives us real world situations to some extent versus the trial data, which is very well controlled. Helps clinicians and policymakers in knowing the trends in practice and planning health policies. So these are the registries globally. The largest is the US Reveal registry of 3,500 plus patients, the Aspire registry of 1,300, and the Giessen registry, the second largest of 2,067 patients. What this registries globally, global registry says that is that the distribution, idiopathic PH contribute around 40 to 45%. Connective tissue disease is a very significant contributor in 20 to 25%, whereas systemic sclerosis is the major contributor. Congenital heart disease associated PH is seen in around 10 to 15% of the cases. So we didn't have much data from India. So we applied for funding from the Cardiological Society of India Kerala chapter, and we did this study called Pro Kerala. We invited all the cardiologists, pulmonologists, and physicians who manage pulmonary hypertension patients. 77 hospitals were approached, 50 participated. And this is the we had the central zone with 20. We divided into 3 zones and of the total 50 centers, and the data collection was from January to 2015 to March 2016. The inclusion criteria was adult patients more than 18 years who were diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension using the echocardiographic criteria. RV systolic pressure by TR jet velocity more than 50 millimeters of mercury, or a mean PA pressure more than 25. At that time it was 25, now it is 20, obtained at cardiac catheterization. We considered new cases as less than, and those diagnosed within less than 2 months. This is one of the right ventricular systolic pressure estimation. So why we used echo criteria? We know that the cath measured pulmonary artery pressure is the gold standard, but we know in a country like India, where cardiac catheterization has its own difficulties, logistic issues. Doppler-derived echo pulmonary arterial pressure is a good correlation with cath, especially when it is more than 50 millimeters of mercury. The Pan-African registry, the PAPECO registry, also used echo, but their cutoff was very low, more than 35. The Rotterdam study, which did a huge study on the population prevalence of pulmonary hypertension, used echo, that also used a criteria of more than 40. So resource poor settings, it is said that echo registry is the most unfeasible, and we know that vasodilatory testing is the major indication for doing a cath, but it's not available in most of the centers. So we made echocardiography mandatory. Group 3 patients need to undergo a pulmonary function and a chest physician evaluation. Thromboembolic PH, all patients were required to have a pulmonary angio. Vasoreactivity testing was done in a handful of patients, and genetic testing was done in a very, very few number of patients. So we published our data in 2018 in International Journal of Cardiology, 2003 patients. It's the largest from the developing world and the third largest globally. Mean age of the patients were 56, proportion of women were 52, and 80% of the cases were diagnosed that year. Comparing our age to other registries, mean overall age was, our age group was 56 compared to the Pan-African registry of 48. If you compare the group 1 patients, our age group was almost similar to the revealed registry, the Chinese registry or the Spanish registry. Coming to the etiology of PAH in our study, you can see that group 2 or the pulmonary venous hypertension or the pulmonary hypertension associated with the left heart disease was the most common, 59%, followed by group 1, 21%, lung disease contributed to 13%, and thromboembolic PAH contributed to 4% of the patients. So this is the comparison with the Pan-African registry. It is not a very big registry, around 209 patients from 4 different countries in Africa. It is almost similar to what our registry shows. The group 2 was the maximum. Our patients were slightly more, 60. They had a slightly more prevalence of group 2. The others were proportionately smaller and similar. So how do our registry compare with the European registries, the German registry Gießen and the Aspire registry from UK? You can see that the group 2 was significantly higher. The group 1 was lower. Group 3 was also lower, but you can see that the thromboembolic PAH was significantly lower in Indian patients, as we know that the Caucasian population has higher preponderance of developing thromboembolic PAH compared to our population. Male versus female, as expected, left heart disease and lung disease are more common in males. Group 1 PAH, the idiopathic PAH group, and the thromboembolic PAH are more common in females. This is the etiological comparison global. You can see that most common is left heart disease globally. Lung disease comes second, except in Africa, where sickle cell disease, HIV, and rheumatic heart disease also contribute to significantly. Coming to group 1 in our group of patients, you can see that idiopathic PAH contributed to 28%, connective tissue disease only 2%, probably we are missing many cases, and congenital heart disease, 70% of the patients on group 1 PAH had congenital heart disease. 59% of the patients had pulmonary hypertension associated with left heart disease. We know that the heart failure, the preserved ejection fraction epidemic is increasing globally and is becoming a leading cause of PAH. So it has a rising prevalence even in the developing world and also the developed world. Rheumatic heart disease, 50% of the patients with rheumatic heart disease has some form of pulmonary hypertension, and it is a independent incremental prognostic value. Lung diseases, 13% of our patients had PAH associated with lung disease. We know that the 3 billion people, half the world's population burn biomass and has high levels of indoor air pollution. And this lead on to COPD and pulmonary hypertension. And obstructive sleep apnea is also increasing. This is one of the studies from India which showed 62.4% of the patients with COPD has some form of pulmonary hypertension. Severe PAH were seen in around 15% of the patients. And it increases according to the gold stage. Gold stage D had 16 patients with severe pulmonary hypertension. Thromboembolic, we know that it is on the rise in the Asian populations, but it is lesser than the West. Only 4% of the patients had thromboembolic PAH. Coming to the PAH-specific therapy in our patients, you can see that the group 1, around 55% of the patients received some form of therapy, mostly phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors. This data was in 2015-16, so things must have changed. Group 4 also received around 40% of the patients received some form of therapy. Few patients underwent hemodynamic testing before initiating therapy, but still 4.3% of the patients were given calcium channel blockers, but mostly based on, not based on vasodilator testing. And sildenafil and tadalafil were given in 17%, endothelin receptor antagonists, bosentan and ambrisentan given in 2.3% of the patients. Drug usage compared to the other registries, only 3% of our patients were on combination pulmonary vasodilators. Anticoagulants were given in 33.6% of the patients. You can see the first column is our registry. Only monotherapy was there in 15.9, dual therapy was in 1.8 in the whole group. You can see the other registries, it is significantly higher. And the last column is the African registry, where the pulmonary hypertension specific therapy is very, very significantly lower. So what is our 1 year follow-up? We have 1 year follow-up data. Total, we had 83 deaths. The mortality rate was around 4%. And the primary endpoint we defined as death or admission with the heart failure. That was seen in around 9% of the patients. And many of the patients had hospitalization events. Around 61% of the patients had hospitalization events. So to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, pulmonary hypertension, there is no real data on incidence and prevalence from India. ProKerala, the largest registry from Asia and the third largest globally, we presented the data. Group 2 was the commonest among our patients, around 59%. Group 1, 21% of the burden. Idiopathic PAH and pulmonary hypertension associated with congenital heart disease were the commonest. Utilization of the targeted pulmonary hypertension therapy is very, very low. But group 1, 55% of the patients received mostly monotherapy. Combination therapy was very low. 1 year mortality is 4% and the hospitalization rate was 67%. Thank you for the patient list.
Snehal, we go for the next topic, or we have
Yeah,
discussion on this?
I think we can have both the lectures and then we can have discussion at the end. Is that okay,
Okay.
Prashant?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so now let me invite Dr. Prashant Bobate, who is very, very active in pulmonary hypertension, and we look forward to him to give us guidance on PH therapy and investigations. He'll be speaking to us on the pediatric pulmonary hypertension registry. So Prashant, we are looking forward to your lecture. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, sir, for the kind introduction. So this registry, pediatric pulmonary hypertension registry, we have just started. There are 2 centers who have started recruiting. One from Cochin, that is Amruta Institute of Medical Science, and the other is us from Kokilaben Ambani Hospital. The registry was started taking clues and inspiration from the ProKerala registry, which Dr. Hari Krishnan sir just presented. We are in the process of recruiting more centers. Currently, what I am going to present is the data from